So you might be like me. You might have children who are under age 18 and you're watching after the children and raising them, but you worry, you're up late at night worrying, who's going to raise these children if me and my spouse are gone? If both of the parents are gone, who's going to act as guardian? And let me tell you, this stopped me and my husband from doing our estate plan for 8 years. All right, I was in this field for 8 years before we did our own estate plan, and it's because we couldn't choose guardians. So this video is specifically for those parents who are really hesitating. Who should I name as guardians? I hope this gives you some great guidance so you can get something on paper, because something on paper is so much better than something in your mind that you perseverate over at night. Okay, so who should you name as guardian, and what things should you consider? Well, first, I just want to talk about the basic procedure. How do you name guardians in the first place? Usually you put this in your will. All right, you would do a revocable trust if you're doing your estate plan, but you also do something called pour over wills, which are basically cleanup documents that say everything goes into the trust. But it's in the will that you can nominate guardians. So you say, I nominate so-and-so, like I nominate my brother to act as guardian for our minor children if both of us are not able to act, both me and their dad are not able to act as guardian. You can also do this in a standalone document. So if you're sick, but you're still alive, then this document can become effective. So either way, you nominate them. Now notice I said nominate and not name. Here's the thing, with guardianship, it always goes through a court hearing. Compare this to a trust where you name somebody as trustee, they're gonna be successor trustee, all right? But with a guardianship, the court, whenever you're dealing with somebody who's a minor or who's disabled, the court wants to put their stamp of approval. Make sure that you've chosen the right person, because you might nominate somebody, I might nominate my brother as guardian, but he might be living in Timbuktu, or maybe he's on drugs, or maybe he's not alive, or maybe he just doesn't want to do it. So there's always going to be a court hearing where the people who want to be guardian and the people who are nominated come forward, and the judge ultimately chooses a guardian. Now they do give great deference to who you choose. So it is important to state who you want, but just be aware that there will be a judge who makes sure that the person that you chose really is the best choice. And there could be some other family members who maybe you don't want coming forward. Now you can write a separate memo. I've had some clients, even where the other parent doesn't have any custody, they're not involved in the child's life, and they're dangerous, all right? That parent has written a separate letter to the court saying, hey, if anything happens to me, this is why you should not let their dad raise them. So you can always write something in addition. Now, what does the guardian do? Well, this is the person who raises your child. They decide where the child lives. They decide about education decisions. They decide, what to feed them, what vacations to go on. It's really the matters of life and living that they're deciding. They are not the managers of your children's money. So let's say you set up a revocable trust and you say, upon my death, I want my money to go to my child, but if they're not 30 years old yet, it's to be held in trust. Or it goes into a lifetime trust for their benefit. I have a great video on dynasty trusts, also known as lifetime trusts. This can be a great way for a child to receive an inheritance that's protected. So in that case, it's the trustee of the dynasty trust or trustee of the trust for the child that manages the child's money. It's not the guardian. So you can name somebody different as the guardian, the person doing the raising of the kids, and then also somebody different for managing the kids' money. And then the trustee, the one managing the money, and the guardian, they will work together to say, hey, this is our spending plan. This is how much I need. We need to do something additional. Here are the school bills. Please pay this directly. And so they'll work together on this. You can name the same person if you want. If you have one person who's like really good at money and also very loving and wants to raise your kids, you could name the same person too. That's fine.
Hey everyone, if you like my mom's video, like and subscribe.
Now we sometimes add language in the revocable trust to say that some of the money from the revocable trust or from the child's portion can be used for the guardian's benefit. Like let's say the child needs to move in with the guardian, but the guardian has a small house or they already have a couple kids and they're maxed out on their space. So money can be used to expand the guardian's house to provide an extra room there. Or perhaps they want to go to Disneyland, but the guardian doesn't have a lot of money. Money can be used from the child's trust to send the whole family to Disneyland. So we do include that language in most of our trusts because sometimes the guardian just doesn't have the funds and we want the money to be able to be used for the whole family and not just the child. Sometimes we don't, so it really depends on the situation. Okay, so another thing you want to think about is where should your child live? I have a lot of clients, I've been practicing for 15 years, and a lot of my clients come from other countries. Let's say a family came from India, and most of their family members are still back in India. And they want, if something happens to them, they want their parents who live in India to raise their children. And they want their children to move to India to be raised in India. In that situation, I specify in the trust that you are okay with your children moving out of the country to be raised in a different country, because we really want the court to know that that would be your preference. Now, what if you don't want the child to move? Well, then we say that. So we spell out what your wishes might be. Now, if you have somebody who's coming from another country to take care of your kids, maybe they're moving to the US and they might raise your kids here, we do need to name a temporary guardian. This might be a family member or friend, because it takes some time from different countries to set up a visa to get here to the US. And we need somebody to take care of your child in the meantime. So if you have a neighbor who you're close to, or if you have, a trusted family member who might live 1 or 2 cities away, those could be good to name as temporary guardian, okay? Because you can get that done in like a week. But then the guardianship hearings, usually it takes several months to set those up. And we also have to deal with, getting a visa to come to this country. Now, if you have multiple children, I often say that the guardian, we want those children to be raised together. You may have a situation though, where your children have very different needs and you actually want them to be raised by different people. So you can say, we want one child to be raised by this family who understands that child's needs, and then the other child to be raised by this other family. Now, one thing that I see a lot with children who are older, maybe they're in high school, a lot of times they don't want to move because they've already established their friends and their relationships and their schooling, everything's established. So you might say, in that case, the older child might stay with a neighbor for the last couple years of until they turn 18, just to provide that continuity. Whereas a younger child, it might make more sense for them to move somewhere else and be raised, say, in a different state. Now, there's a lot of details that you can put in as to how you want your children to be raised. But usually I recommend to not put that in the will, but instead to put that in something separate called a memo of intent. And I actually have a video about memos of intent that you can watch. So the memo of intent, you can talk about what your child likes and doesn't like. You can talk about any medications they might be taking, your hopes for the future for them, things that they enjoy. It's kind of a brain dump of all the things that you've learned about your child. And I often talk about this in the special needs context, but really any child can benefit from a memo of intent. Then the guardian who's taking over can learn a lot about that child right away, and also what your wishes are for that child. Now, please keep in mind, we all know that you are the best person to take care of your child. And this is all just a God forbid situation. But we do want to put down, just in case a guardianship is needed. And knock on wood, I have not had to do a guardianship proceeding for any of my clients in my last 15 years of practice. And so please don't be the first one. But we always do nominations of guardians just in case. And I just think this helps us sleep at night because we know somebody's lined up to take care of our children if something happens. So I hope that this has been a helpful video for you. I do encourage you to hit the notification button, which is a little bell icon on your screen. And this gives you an alert every time a new video is released from us. And we do release videos once a week on Mondays. Please look for our next video, and we'll see you there.
Hello everyone! If you liked my mom's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all next time!